Then let us proceed.
We've got some news for you coming right up. Word out of Camp Golf is that many NCR Rangers can expect redeployment in the near future. One anonymous soldier said it was part of a new strategy. In other news, residents of squatters in Freeside are overjoyed after waking to discover
What?
the area is being supplied with electricity.
I wouldn't consider myself much of a conversationalist, but I will answer to the best of my abilities.
By Vault 21. Vault 21. Everything's better.
My goal is to kill anyone that may wish to kill you, up until the terms of my contract end.
Ever been in love with a celebrity?
That's it.
Now, come on.
I'm not haunted by some lingering threads of the past that I've yet to tie up, or anything to that effect.
Sometimes you can't help being.
I have a handful of low-priority side jobs at the moment that I figured I would deal with during any breaks where I'm not shadowing you. Sure. I don't see why not. I can split the commission with you for each target. That's fair enough, certainly. I'll need to be present when you kill the targets, mind you. While I'm aware you're an experienced killer, they are still my contracts. The details are in my safe house. As my clients told me, there's no rush. I wouldn't be bothered if we didn't get around to any of these. Roger that.
Only
Our
I
guys
can...
put the monorail back
Your
to work.
safety guaranteed.
This target should be simple enough. Apparently, he's totally alone. In my sight. If Target silenced. This will get bloody. You're just prolonging your own suffering. Fine work. Yes. And I may have answers. Ask. They're mediocre, deluded assassins. I don't extend the effort of actively disliking things, but I find their notion to be repellent. A proper assassin is an implement of death, nothing more. When men make the decision to kill, some use blades, others bullets, some use people. It isn't personal, and I harbor no illusions of morality. I kill for money. If you put stock into ethics, it's an inherently evil act. But bounty hunters, headhunters, whatever their name, have it backwards. It's all personal to them. Their client is an afterthought. All the focus is on the heroic bounty hunter, profiting off of death while crowing about justice. They're a flashy tool, used to make a point about the reach and the righteousness of their clientele. Wise. That said, the glaring flaw is that your methods leave you with a target on your back. Consider accepting contracts anonymously. Don't engage your targets in petty banter before executing them. If you can avoid being seen, do so. I think if you adopt my methods, you'll find yourself with far fewer attempts at violent retaliation being delivered to your door. I was told this one killed the last assassin to come after him. He won't fare so well this time. No mercy.
I'm hit!
Well done. Dead man walking. Mission accomplished. Time to get paid.
Guess that's the end of that.
Do you need something? I wouldn't consider myself much of a conversationalist, but I will answer to the best of my abilities. I mean what I say. I have no feelings. My emotions are dead. I can experience some instinctual fear or frustration, but little more. Joy, rage, misery, lust. I have none of these things. It extends to physical sensations too. I don't really feel pain or pleasure. Perhaps it's all a result of how broken my mind is, or maybe it's actually acute nerve damage. I don't know. I don't particularly care. Very well. What? And I may have answers. Ask. I doubt that. It's not an especially short tale, and I find it tends to make people uncomfortable. The short version is that I was born a slave, became a toy for raiders, a spectacle in their arena, and then a trainee assassin. If for some reason you want to hear more, ask. An exaggeration, perhaps. In truth, I had a month or so of freedom between my birth and my enslavement. My parents, they didn't want a child. They sold me off to a roving slave trader as soon as they could find one. I don't know what I was worth. It was my owner that named me, taught me to walk and speak, read and write. But most of all, he taught me to be quiet and obedient. If I hesitated, I was flogged. If I disobeyed, I was whipped. And if I failed a task, I was locked in a very small crate. For some time. The only thing he never did to me was harming my resale value. I had to look my best. He wouldn't cripple me, or despoil me. I was a quick study. His other slaves were born free. He had to break them down and remake them in the image he desired. But I was raised from birth to be property. I didn't know any other way, so resistance never crossed my mind. Eventually, when I was quite young, he passed through a raider settlement, and I was sold to their leader. I never saw my original master again. He's dead. Not at my hands, but dead all the same. He was a lieutenant in a slaver ring operated by a man named Schrader. Several years ago, Schrader's ring began to come into conflict with another group, operated by a man named Dietrich. My former master was captured in a skirmish with Dietrich, and they decided to make an example of him for Schrader's crew to witness. They flayed him alive and nailed his skin to the door of Schrader's HQ. How unfortunate for him. You did? Thank you. Yes. The gang leader had certain predilections. He found me appealing. When I wasn't being used for his pleasure, he also found amusement in torturing me. I used to pray that if I did a good job, he wouldn't hurt me. He always found reason to harm me, regardless. Looking back, I recognize sadism as its own reward for those who possess it. Torture amused him. Eventually, he tired of me. I was tossed to the rest of his gang to do with as they saw fit. When I was lucky, they had me do domestic work. When I was unlucky, it was more of what I suffered under their leader. I was often unlucky. This was a large gang. A settlement, really. One of their favorite pastimes was forcing slaves to fight to the death in an arena. Children weren't exempt. Rather, they were the favorite fighters. Eventually, my captors tired of using me and threw me to the arena. Fine. The raiders loved to watch their slaves and captives fight to the death, and children were their favorite. The wrongness entertained them. The one downside for the raiders was that most people have an innate resistance to killing. Children, more than most. The children would spend most of the fights cowering and crying, begging for freedom and forgiveness, refusing to arm themselves. But I was taught from birth to be obedient. I must do whatever my owner commanded, without a flicker of hesitation. When they placed me in the arena and told me to kill, that's what I did. While the others cried and begged, I took up the knife and killed them all. One by one they fell. I didn't hesitate. That would have been unthinkable. The raiders were stunned. By me. What I had done for them. Watching a little girl cut down her fellows in cold blood amused the raiders more than they could say. And they rewarded me. No more beatings, no more rape, no more domestic servitude. Instead, they praised me for putting on a good show. And they gave me drugs. When I killed for them, not only did the pain finally stop, but the drugs gave me a sense of euphoria I had never known. It was almost happiness. I haven't touched any chems for a long time, but there's some lingering neurological damage. And psychological, of course. Beyond proper medications? I take sleeping pills for practical reasons, but otherwise, no. Not since the day I was released. No doubt they're a pleasant escape for those who choose to indulge. I never had that choice. The drugs were forced on me, and it never stopped. When I was finally free of them, I had clarity. A fog lifted. I never want to lose that clarity again. They barely fought back. They were slaves and captures, ripped from their ordinary happy lives, forced into collars and told to kill or be killed. All they had was fear and hesitation. All I had was an entire life where the fear and hesitation was whipped, beaten, and starved out of me. And when killing them was the only surefire method of making my own pain end, then it actually brought me something akin to happiness. My emotions died when I was first purchased from my parents. All the same, the raiders managed to force a degree of bloodlust on me. It ended in blood as it began. As with everything else in my life, freedom was forced on me. I never chose to escape. As large and cruel as the raider gang was, they made enemies. One of these enemies hired an assassin to end the threat once and for all. There was no grand battle. One morning I woke in my cell to the sounds of gunfire and yelling. Then silence. Some minutes later, a stranger strolled into the holding cages. He looked at all of us chattel, and then he unlocked our cells, told us we were free. The other children, they despised me almost as much as they feared me. They had seen me as I killed every slave that was sent against me. They watched the raiders praise me for killing their friends and family. In their eyes, I was the embodiment of all they had suffered. When they were given their freedom, they decided to tie up the last loose end. Maybe they thought I wouldn't fight with no raiders directing me. But I did. Instead of enjoying their newfound freedom, they all died at my hands. The assassin watched it all, never interfering. When it was over, he told me that if I wanted, I could come with him, that he would teach me how to use my talents properly. What could I do but accept? I knew nothing of freedom. I would have made a mess of myself. Perhaps, but when a group is rushing for blood, my thoughts don't immediately turn to how I can subdue them non-lethally. And really, the thought of mercy never crossed my mind. All of my experiences taught me that life is cheap and easily thrown away. They wanted me dead. I wanted to live. Somebody is going to lose in that equation, and I wasn't going to let it be me. The man who had rescued me brought me with him. As he promised, he began to teach me his trade. I had experience with killing, and my instincts were sharp, but I lacked finesse, let alone experience with weaponry or subtler methods. He taught me to shoot, to wield a blade, to move silently and unseen. I already knew how to read, but he gave me a real education. If I failed a task, disappointed him in some way, he would lecture me harshly and then let me try again. He was strict, but never cruel. Soon, I was accompanying him on missions. He would offer advice and make suggestions, but for the first time, I had autonomy, real freedom. We weren't close, and our relationship was never anything more than professional. He simply wanted to pass on his skills and knowledge. That never bothered me. He was the first person I ever met that didn't want me to suffer. In time, I became skilled enough to accept my own contracts without him. He had nothing left to teach me, so he stopped trying. We were just two independent murderers, living in the same building. And that's where my personal history ends. Everything between that point and us speaking right now falls into job details, which I don't discuss. He died. Not at the hands of another assassin, not to a botched job, not through any violent means. He died of lung disease. I could have thrown his body in the street, but out of respect I buried him in the desert, and took his blade for my own use. It serves me well. No. The past cannot be changed. Regrets only serve as a distraction, and my mind needs to be focused to be effective. Thank you. That is... not necessary. As you say. This target should be soft enough, but he'll likely be accompanied by some of his Kim addict clientele. After you.
Unable to continue.
Seems this one can fight.
Going to
Struggle. Fine. A lieutenant in the Jackals. Shocking that a member of that worthless gang even managed to earn a price on his head. in my sights. So, you'll die before you die.
Damn!
Just too
That one won't be bothering anyone again. I have some extra stim packs at the moment. Here, take one. I don't want you to die. For what purpose? Very well. Proceed. If you insist. No, that won't be an issue. I don't leave a calling card on my eliminated targets. Even if they have vengeful friends or family, they wouldn't know I ever existed. If somebody does know who I am and does want me dead for whatever reason, I take care of it before it can become an issue. I have no enemies. I don't permit such a thing. Very well. Time to get to work. do this for a living, you know. I actually consider... Job's done. Probably leave my show a suggestion to assassins.
You like that?
Over here!
Hey, you're back. Did you want something? Yes, I have a shipment right here that I need delivered. You'll have to make this delivery to the 188 trading post. To expect a full payment, you have to complete the delivery in 5 days. As usual, you will be held accountable for lost or damaged property in the form of a 200 caps penalty. So, are you up for it? Here's the package. Watch out not to break it or it comes out of your pay.
final one of my side jobs. We'll be well equipped, but nothing beyond our abilities. Let's get to work. This will get bloody. You deserved worse. That was the last of my side contracts. I appreciate your assistance. You'll forgive my saying so, but that friend of yours, Eliza, seems disproportionately bitter for having lived such an idyllic life. It's annoying. Do you need something? On which topic? If you insist. No. Well, actually, I would prefer that the Legion doesn't take power. I would have to immigrate west to continue my work. The Legion wouldn't have much use or tolerance for my services. That said, it would be a mild inconvenience. I have no deeper stake than that. If you were to commit to working for Kaiser, I'd accept that. I don't know. I don't even know if my parents survived. Perhaps they died screaming shortly after selling me. It's entirely possible that I have siblings, aunts or uncles, cousins. Or perhaps not. It doesn't matter. If I do have family, I don't want to meet them. Shared DNA is a poor excuse for forcing companionship. I see no reason to believe that any hypothetical surviving family would be more inclined to care for me than the family I did know. If that roving slave trader hadn't come along, I suppose I would have simply starved to death. My parents clearly didn't want me around. Supposing that they did actually love me and raise me, who knows? Maybe I'd be a singer, or a philanthropist. I could have been an author. I would probably be happy. I wouldn't be such a broken wreck of a person. I wouldn't kill people for money and feel nothing as I watched them die. I would prefer to speak about something else. Because this is what I'm best at. My life put me on this path. My experiences, the lessons I learned, the people who educated me, it all led to me being what I am now. The last years of my adolescence were spent teaching me all the fine details required for my profession, and so I excel at it. This is what I am. It's likely not the path I would have chosen for myself, but there's very little in life we can control, let alone predict. To do something else, turn my back on the tools that I was given, it's lashing out, denying my own reality. It's childish and futile. I refuse. Fatalistic? No. That's the opposite of my philosophy. I don't believe in fate, destiny, however you wish to describe it. It's all chaos. We as people tend to assign our own meanings and interpretations to the chaos to calm ourselves in the face of it all. Events happen to us, often without our consent or even knowledge. The first step to self-determination is acceptance of our past experiences. We can rail against the circumstances we find ourselves in, and so often it burns us away. It accomplishes nothing but failure and misery. There is no greater plan. Nothing is preordained, and things don't need to have a reason before they occur. It is what it is, nothing more. It falls to each of us to make our own meaning for things, and live with the consequences. Good. I struggle to think of how you could possibly misinterpret the word so loosely that it could ever apply to me. I'm good at my job, I suppose, but a good person? No. Society as a whole has a fairly basic view of morality. Individual beliefs may waver from person to person, but some things are nearly universal. There aren't many who would consider a killer for hire to be a good person, and if they did, it would be through an excess of caveats. No women, no children, only kill people that have it coming in one way or another, etc. I do kill women and children, and people that nobody but my clientele would consider to have it coming in any capacity. Hence, no society on Earth would consider me to be a good person. Fortunately for me, I don't care about opinions. Oh. In that case, I abstain from judgment. Judgment of myself, or of anybody else. It's pointless. I don't believe in morality. I believe in actions. Morality is a coping mechanism, a method of self-affirmation, an acceptance that a set of unwritten societal rules dictates your value as a person. If I follow the rules of morality, then I am a good person, and I can sleep at night with no guilt. Something to that effect. I don't feel any guilt for my actions, yet my only difficulty sleeping comes from my memories of actions that others committed against me. I know exactly what I am. I'm a broken shell of a human. But I've reconciled my own nature, and so I don't allow my perception of self to bother me. In truth, I don't believe that bad people or good people exist. I believe that people can commit bad acts or good ones. Do you consider yourself a good person? But that isn't really true, is it? You're aware of your own choices, surely. You're aware of the context and logic behind every step you've ever taken. There is very little in the world that we can control, less than we ever think. But the one thing we have undisputed control over is our choices. You know what choices you've made, and you know how society at large would likely frame the ethics of those choices. What you lack is a personal determination as to whether or not your actions fall in line with your own moral beliefs. I'll make it very simple, because I figured this out for myself years ago. If you truly feel that you cannot live with your own choices, then stop. Shoot yourself in the head, and be done with all the guilt and self-doubt. Otherwise, stand firm in your convictions, own your choices, and accept that the past is immutable. Believe me, there's a victory in that. I've never claimed to follow some immutable code of ethics. I consider such things to be contradictory and pointless. Take killing, for instance. It's something we both do a good deal of, and it's a topic that society is frustratingly ambiguous about. Most religious texts forbid killing. Most societies have very strict laws about killing, and most people would readily agree that it's a bad thing. And yet, war is glorious. Targeted vengeance holds an air of romantic drama, and self-defense is lauded across the wasteland. Ah, but it's okay because you were killing the enemy, is the inferred technicality. Yet, that too is contradictory. If all sins are excusable when committed upon the enemy, why is it that we define and punish war crimes? Why praise empathy and understanding? It's meaningless. Morality is what you choose to make of it, and I place no stock in the ethical values held by polite society, whatever that is. I was raised apart from society. I only entered it in the tail end of my adolescence. I can rightly say that I am not a part of it. I don't live by some personal code. The closest that I come is avoiding pointless cruelty and sadism. Why fret over the minutiae? Probably, yes. You seem surprised. I'm guessing I don't strike you as religious, and so you wouldn't expect me to read a religious text, yes? I'm not religious, but I do make a habit of reading anything I get my hands on. Knowledge and information are their own rewards, I've found. No, religions hold no appeal to me. For one, they tend to codify morality into a uselessly strict good-evil dichotomy, which I don't find compelling. Moreover, I can't support the notion of an afterlife. It breeds complacency and apathy towards the lives we currently lead. After all, why should one struggle to improve their lives if it's all fleeting, soon to be replaced with a far more idyllic, permanent existence? Conversely, if one is already striving for an improved existence, the threat of failing to qualify for heaven could distract from their focus. After all, If everyone is focused solely on securing their place in a hypothetical afterlife, why should we bother trying to improve our reality? No, I believe our time on Earth is fleeting, and it's up to each of us to imbue the time we have with our own meaning, and live with the consequences. Of course I've fucking never been in a relationship. You'll forgive me for saying so, but what an absurd question. Look at me. I'm an emotionally dead killer. I've been called a soulless husk of a human, which seems apt enough. Even if someone were so insane as to desire me, do you truly believe I could reciprocate? I don't have feelings or empathy or warmth. I'm not even capable of feeling the most basic physical pleasure that comes with relationships. I don't even have platonic friends. I'm not like you. When I die, I'll die alone and unmourned. Cherish what you have. It's more than you know. I apologize. That was cruel of me. I value you and your companionship. I've never had anything to compare it with. You'll forgive me if I stumble over my words sometimes. I meant no offense. I can say no more than that. Thank you. I'll make it up to you by killing anyone who actually tries to cause you harm. Surely that's fair. Well, lead on. I'll follow you as long as you'll have me. I don't enjoy anything. I'm an emotionally dead, hollow, empty shell of a human, whose only reason for living is to kill others for money. I purchase ammunition, gun oil, whetstones, and medical supplies. Of course, I also keep myself fed and hydrated. I try to spare at least an hour every day for silent meditation, to keep myself focused. I also read whatever I can. Content doesn't matter. Children's books, encyclopedias, porno novels, biographies or fantasies, whatever. It isn't enjoyment, but I do try to know as much as I can, and anything to distract me from my thoughts is welcome. Yes. I listen to music. Not the dated nonsense on the radio, of course. Music, it was never ruined for me. Not like everything else. It makes me feel calm. It can almost evoke feelings. Positive ones. I value that more than I can say. And, I kind of like flowers. They're pretty. Why do you figure that? If you say so. Thank you. Nobody has ever thought that before. You're clearly insane. I suppose I'm obligated to keep you from getting hurt then. Very well. I've got your back.